Hopefulness 2.0, April 27th. Today's Banana Day. Banana bread. After, I finished cleaning some stuff and whatnot, but, I gotta finish up some paperwork. My guess is, today's Wednesday, so I will likely, this is just my guess, I don't know, I will likely start training either on Friday or Saturday. I might start training tomorrow, who knows. I'm gonna make some rice as well. I'm gonna make another pizza soon. Whoa! Woo! Damn. Speaking of, I'll pull out the dough. Put you over here for now. Don't have a whole lot of counter space. Alright, so move these out of the way for the time being. It's not exactly in the way, but the chair is. That's whatever. Need to feed my starter as well. Since I have the water out now. Shit. Part of it is that these bananas are in the way. Just really haven't been putting things in their place as they should be. Like, I was talking to my therapist yesterday on the phone while I was making my pizza, and I was like, throughout the whole cooking process and stuff, one of the things that I need to improve upon is mise en place, where everything's in their place. And I mean, I could definitely do that in every other aspect of my life too. Because, that would be handy. But it's difficult. It's very difficult for me to do that. I mean, shit, I didn't even start laundry until almost 7 o'clock last night. Just gonna take a quick chug of heavy cream. I don't even know what I did it on. I think it was while I was cleaning dishes, but I scraped the shit out of my thumb, my knuckle on my thumb. But, like I said, I need to look into try to do the whole mise en place thing. And I think I'm going to try to do that today with banana stuff. So, well, shit. In order to do that, though, I've got to get rid of all of this and clean this bowl because it's the mixing bowl. So I'm gonna do that too. I mean, I gotta do some cleaning anyway, but dishes and whatnot. Very, very close. There we go. So I'm gonna make a pizza then. This is also part of it. It's like because I don't have everything so-called in its place, I don't necessarily have everything in its place in my brain either. Like I said, I got to finish up that paperwork. I've got to upload some files to finish the onboarding. At one point, I had to fill out W-2, W-4s and stuff, and then I was like, I got to fill out the California one, and then I had to utilize info from the previous one, and I was like, well, fuck, I forgot. So I had to go back through the damn thing just to figure out where the hell I was at. And that gets overwhelming. So I don't know, like, how... Oh, shit. I don't know how well this is going to work. We'll see. I mean, it's easier when I don't have distractions and other stuff. Like, if I had to work from home, I would be terrible. I would be absolutely terrible working from home. Like, having that, like, for me, and this isn't me trying to say that everybody needs to do it my way. Absolutely not. If it works for you, do it. If working from home makes you more productive, fuck yeah, do that. If working at work makes you more productive, fuck yeah, do that. And that's one of the problems that we have right now in this whole weird transitional pandemic related bullshit is that, one, there are people saying that there was no pandemic in the first place and that the illness wasn't that bad. And now that, the illness itself isn't as bad as it used to be, people are like, well, see, we told you. It's like, no, that's not how that works. And then, it's like, if it wasn't that bad, why did so many businesses do it? Why did so many businesses move to work from home, and then now they're moving away from work from home and they're trying to get people back to work? They have their own agendas, of course, but at the same time, they don't want to get sick. They don't want their family to get sick, etc. The people who think that COVID's not that bad, that, oh, well, I got COVID, or somebody else in my family got COVID, nothing, blah, 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 and all these weird anecdotal little fucking bullshit stories, they are not the rule, they are the exception. Well, how come there's so many of them? Well, because there's a lot of fucking people. It's probability. Plain and simple. Statistics. Numbers. Sample size. Population, etc. When there's 300 million fucking people in a country, that's a lot of fucking people. Like, if people were like, well, 300 million isn't that much, how would you do with $300 million? Is it really that much? Is it now a lot? Oh, well, look at Shanghai, and they're trying to, they're like starving people and giving them bad food and all that stuff, and this is what America wants to do. It's like, really? Because from what I can tell, thus far, this is not what America wants to do. You have people out there who are just fucking alarmists based on literally speculation alone. They have no evidence to prove their claims. Because, well, there's a running theory that these people who bitch and moan about this type of stuff would be the kind of people who would do it. They're projecting. This is how they think. This is how they act. It's like an abusive husband who says he loves women. I grew up with one of those. It's like, you don't disrespect your mother, blah, 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 despite him doing it on a regular enough basis. So, you know, do as I say, not as I do. I remember those words. I remember them a lot. I heard them a lot as a kid. And I have a feeling that all these people who are alarmists and freaking out and thinking that this is the kind of stuff that would happen are effectively saying, do as I say, not as I do. They're projecting. They're trying to get you to behave a certain way so they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. Because that phrase is literal hypocrisy. It's literally hypocrisy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's straight up hypocrisy. And it's no wonder at one point in my life I was like, well, humans are just hypocritical throughout life. And one of my friends was like, why? And I didn't really understand why. But having grown up with people like that, well, now I kind of understand why. I'm not saying that humanity in general is hypocritical or a hypocrisy, I think was what I was really saying back in the day, but nevertheless, it's like, we have so many people who behave exactly like that, who think like that, and then they think that other people are doing the same. It's like with, you know, Kamala Harris getting COVID. And they're all like, well, if you get vaccinated, you won't get COVID. And then they're, you know, stating that that's hypocritical. Well, when did she say it? Because, well, it doesn't matter. Because to the people who think, well, COVID was never that big of a deal in the first place, it doesn't matter when somebody got COVID and when it was stated. It's just that they see everything as if it's all happening at exactly the same time. And yes, there are a lot of things that happen at the same time. But at the same time, there's also things that aren't happening at the same time. If that's not confusing enough as it is. I mean, think about how you remember stuff. You know, okay, so, for example, I just got off of the internet so that I could record this, right? Well, before, while I was on the internet, I happened to see a video of Brian Clint, radio host from New Zealand. I worked with them for a week, 5 days. When I was at iHeart. Great people, funny people, goofballs to the max. Like everything that you see them doing in any clip that happens to run, it becomes viral or whatever, it's them. That's how they are. Straight up. No pretense. They're goofy, fun people young, and they're successful because of it. When I think of that time that I was working with them, it feels like now. When I remember them, I remember it as if it's right now. You know how people are like, man, it feels like it was just yesterday. Because that's how impactful memory can be on us. But it wasn't just yesterday. It was 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago that I worked with them. It wasn't 2, because 2 years ago I wasn't employed. And yet, I still remember some of the interactions I had with them. At one point, we even moved downstairs because the studio that they were working in was misbehaving regularly enough. So the sound techs were like, "Well, we've got this other studio that's downstairs, and it'll do everything you need it to do, and it'll also be closer to the sound technicians, the engineers. So if there are any other problems," I mean, I was basically just their secretary at that point. I was liaison, but I was basically their secretary. If they needed to print stuff out, I helped them print it out. If they needed to find a way to a certain place or something within the building, I helped them find their way into a certain place into the building. And then, by like day 3, they were already so, what's the word I'm looking for? Independent of me that I largely wasn't necessary. But it was still nice. I was making more money. So I've had that going for me. Wash this bad boy. So I realized with regards to this pan, if I want to oil it properly, I'll just use this. Throw on a little bit of oil, and then I can oil the pan. No big deal. God damn, these fuckers are heavy though. Cast iron, man. And while I still really don't understand why it's called seasoning, because it doesn't seem to be associated with the seasons, it doesn't seem to be associated with food-related seasons. For all I know, it was just somebody who said a thing once, and they were like, it stuck. Cook that off that water. Don't want to let it seep in or anything. Sad thing is I haven't really actually used this lid since I last washed it. It's just picked up stuff from cooking. But such is life. I pick up stuff from cooking all the time. But yeah, so memory is a fickle thing. It's weird. And many people are hypocritical about all sorts of crap. But, I've also noticed that some people seem to think that when they're told to do something by an authority who is trying to do something for their betterment, they automatically think that that person isn't doing something for the betterment, they're doing it for control. And I've found that, at least through my own exposure, and this is all through the internet, of course, but so much of everything that we get is from the internet, good, bad, and the ugly. Wash you to put you in a bowl, let you kind of soak it a little bit so that it loosens up. Through my experience, and yes, there's some bias in my experience. I'm trying not to be entirely in an echo chamber, but it seems as though the people who trust the government the least are those who identify as conservative. Like with this whole Elon Musk wanting to buy out Twitter thing, they're losing their shit on how awesome it is. And it's like, how is that awesome? How is one person buying up Twitter awesome? It doesn't make sense to me. Especially because he has shown that through the use of Twitter, he has broken laws. And because he's rich, he doesn't have to worry about fines, because what is a fine to a rich person but the cost of business? There's crap on there I gotta take care of. It's like there's a story that kind of makes the rounds from Tumblr, screen grabbed, and it's this dude who's like, apparently I think it's like a girl who was dating this rich dude, and he ends up parking in a certain spot. And she's like, "You can't park there." He's like, "Yeah, you can. It only costs like $50 or something like that." And she's like, "No, you can't park there. It's illegal." He's like, "No." Well, like, yeah, I know. They give you a ticket for like $50 and you pay it and everything's fine. And like, that is the way some people think. It's like, what was it? And it keeps popping up because of the whole buyout attempt. It's like, I think it was Britain who was like, "Hey, you could feed world hunger for like $6 billion or something like that," and then he wanted some sort of itemized list or whatever. And then they gave it to him, and then they got nothing. You could fix world hunger for $6 billion. Instead, decides to spend 40 some odd billion on Twitter. So it's like the whole. I call this hopefulness. I have no hope, really. It doesn't. There's just so much. I mean, unless something. People are all like, "Well, it is an enterprise. It is a business, and we can take our business elsewhere." Where there's not a lot of places right now, and Twitter has a rather huge influence on politics right now as well. And that's not a good thing, to be frank. Twitter does not need to have a big influence on politics. When you have the libs of TikTok channel outing people and the like, and then complaining about being doxxed, and that channel owner, what the shit? Fuck. Apparently I didn't clean it enough. Shit. Damn it. There's still fucking residue in there. And I'm wiping around fucking residue, so shit. Where's the glove? damn thing's hot because I was cooking on, I was heating it up on the oven so that it could prepare it for seasoning. You know, before January 6th, before the election, before a lot of other stuff happened, while other things were happening, I was pretty aware of the fact that there are a lot of values that are at threat in this country that are, well, being perceived as a threat. And I'm like, well, a lot of them are dying off. But like a balloon slowly inflating and approaching a needle, before it pops, and then when it pops, it's going to be loud and violent, and then it'll die. But then somebody else will blow up a new balloon another time. And that analogy was something I used in conversation with others about the very things that are happening right now. Because that is what's happening, from what I can tell. I don't know where we're going, but people are being emboldened with misinformation, with straight up lies, and those lies literally have caused people's lives to be destroyed. Which is why I'm not giving up that's why I don't have a whole lot of hope with regards to everything that's going on. I mean, maybe with the destruction of the old, some sort of new will come out and it'll be a more tolerant version. I don't know. But I don't have much hope for it. I guess my non-stick coating wasn't very non-stick. Let's get stuck on it. Well, try again, I guess. I wanted to just use paper towels, which makes sense because it's like you have to apply this coating that way. if there is something, that happens to be still on there, it doesn't ruin the applicator. Like, well, what I just happened to experience. But the paper towels that I have left really fine lint and scraping up against it. Like, well, that's not ideal. You don't want that. You don't want little linty particles on your non-stick surface. That's just going to cause things to stick. It's funny, somebody, there was this video that showed like a lot of these like really attractive young people from the 90s. And someone was like, man, that was like the best time of our life. It was when we were all doing coke and it was before AIDS. And I'm like, it was playing whatever the Silence song is from Depeche Mode. I'm like, this song was released in 1990. Like, sorry, but AIDS was a thing then. Reagan not giving two shits about the AIDS pandemic, etc. Hey, only the gays can catch it, so we're not going to do anything about it because fuck the gays. But then that's how you catch it, right? Hey, that's irony. See, we have this weird problem where we don't have health education that seems to be efficient at getting people to understand how contagious something can be, even if one is not part of that group, whatever that group happens to be. Yes, gays had a much higher chance of contracting and passing on AIDS, rather HIV. But one needs to understand why. And the periphery of others who happen to be in the proximity of people who are gay, who might pass on or acquire HIV. You see, when two people love each other very much and they want to bang, during a time in which your sexuality is literally a potential death sentence, they might hide that fact. And so they may go off and have unprotected sex with somebody that they are actually attracted to, but at the same time, they may also be having sex with somebody they're not attracted to in order to maintain their life, the lifestyle that keeps them alive, i.e., having a straight relationship, having children, etc. So they may be passing on. You may have a chance of acquiring HIV because people aren't doing anything to help the community that is more likely to be impacted by it. Or the community that's demonized for passing it around and what have you. Because, you know, while there may have been certain statistics that said that homosexual activity was at greater risk of acquiring HIV, it's bullshit. It's just that the choices one has to make in order to stay alive while being homosexual in the 80s and the 90s put them at a higher risk of potentially contracting it, because so much activity could be traced in various ways. Not like now, of course, even more so now, but we've had so many people fall for so much bullshit. I mean, you know, I was talking to my therapist yesterday. We ended up talking about, you know, cooking and the like, because I mean that's kind of been a big deal for me in recent weeks. And I was like, you know, yeah, is a pizza all that healthy? Not really, but it's a healthier version than buying it from like Domino's or something. And the reason why is because I'm putting actual effort into it, you know. Sure, a lot of it is its own effort of allowing it to ferment for days and autolyzing and everything, but nevertheless, there's still effort being put into making the pizza itself. Instead of just walking outside after waiting 30 minutes or whatever, post-ordering it. And he was talking about how his weren't necessarily healthy, and I'm, you know, asking why, and he's like, well, you know, he's making all kinds of like candies and stuff. I'm like, well, yeah, a lot of sugar. He's like, well, then, you know, what he says, his first response to me talking about sugar is throwing fat in there. I'm talking about how there's like 3 cups of heavy cream, and I'm like, well, okay, that depends on how much you're eating too. I mean, it's just like most things. I got into a bit of anatomy and physiology from what I remember from my anatomy and physiology class. Talking about how one of the biggest contributors to unhealthy lifestyles with regards to food is sugar, it's carbohydrates. I don't have any more countertop space, so we'll cease washing dishes at the moment. Because all my stuff is trying to dry now. And, you know, talking about corn subsidies and high fructose corn syrup now being in everything and all sorts of crap. It's like, I'm making my own bread. The bread that you buy at the store, 9 times out of 10 has high fructose corn syrup in it. Or some other kind of sugar. Now, yes, sugar in bread is a good thing because it helps with browning. It doesn't really make it sweet. But let's also be honest. Bread is pure fucking carbs. You know, but making your own bread is healthier than going to the store and buying a loaf. Why? Because you're putting you're burning your own energy to make it. whether it's because you're kneading the bread, or if you're stirring it, or if you're just putting stuff together for a little bit. It's still more effort to make that bread than it would be if you just went to the store and bought a loaf. And fat, yes, it has more calories per gram, but your body doesn't start trying to break it down until it's in your gut and the proper chemicals, are pumped in there to break it down. Same thing goes with protein. This is why, like the keto diet has been like this big deal. If you try to do it as strict as some people say you should, you gotta have about a fucking will of iron for shit like that, because it's huge pain in the ass. Try that crap. But if you stay away from a lot of processed foods like flour, or you're even more highly processed things that have a ton of fucking sugar or high fructose corn syrup in them or anything like that, you're going to be eating healthier. And part of it is the ability for the body to be satiated. There's a reason why I just chugged, a mouthful of heavy cream, because I get satiated from it for about an hour. And I mean, let's look to see. I would say a mouthful for me is approximately 2 ounces. All right. 34 or 32 fluid ounces in here. That's a 16th of the whole total. Tablespoon, 15 mils. I don't know. It doesn't say how much an ounce is. It says 64 servings per container. Well, okay. If there's 32 fluid ounces and there's 64, so that means I had approximately 4 servings. 200 calories. Okay, but that's for an hour. Also, I'm fat. Being a fat person, in order to maintain homeostasis, I need more calories. That's not to say that I should be consuming more calories. I should be trying to consume fewer calories, but it's easier when my life is stable. When I'm not stressing about this, that, or the other, and I'm not trying to just, take care of whatever. When I was homeless, yeah, I was in technically better shape because I was walking around all the fucking time. But I also wasn't sleeping well either. And I was also I was stealing food and shit. But I would also on a pretty regular basis go to places like fucking Subway or whatever. I don't go to Subway anymore because the food's crap, and this video is going on for a lot longer than it should have. I don't even know if my damn phone is running, but hell, let me check. Yeah, okay. 43 minutes. My point is that, well, there's a lot of points that have been made in this video. There's a lot of hypocrisy going on. There's a lot of hopelessness. I'm trying to do what I can to make my life better, but at the same time, I'm bad at it. So I'll just end there. Have fun.